Today we're celebrating the inaugural launch of OBITER.
Food will arrive. So enjoy.
Yeah, turn on fire.
OBITER basically is an intercollegiate law journal, so it's student run. We've got students from UTS, UCID, quite like everywhere.
OBITER is a law journal that is aiming to fill a gap.
It's a magazine answering and discussing all of the pertinent legal issues that are currently present in our society.
My name is James Higgins and I'm the opinion editor of OBITER, and it is an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of our inaugural issue. Before we begin the proceedings, however, I would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. It is upon their ancestral lands that the University of Sydney is built. As we share our own knowledge, teaching, learning and research practices within this university, may we also pay respect to the knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of country. Please enjoy the evening and help yourselves to refreshments. I'm told there's a Twitter feed, so feel free to use the hashtag OBITERlaunch. Also, Thomson Reuters up the back is running a competition where someone in this room will win a free iPad, so sign up to their newsletter up the back. Now, please join me in welcoming the Acting Dean of the University of Sydney Law School, Professor Greg Tolhurst.
Thank you. My job here is actually quite simple, is simply to welcome everyone to this event. I believe we have representations from legal practice, industry and legal publishers, and friends from fellow universities. I know representatives from Macquarie here and UNSW and ANU and the Dean of UNSW. Welcome everyone. William Marr, when he asked if I would do this welcome, said, Greg, perhaps you could spend a couple of minutes talking about your experiences as a student that you might like to share that may be relevant for the launch of OBITER. And I agreed to do this, and then within a couple of minutes after he left the room I said, actually, that's actually impossible for me to do because I didn't go to law school. I spent the last 2 years of my time in high school trying to be a rock star. And my enrolment in a selective high school, I interpreted as I could be selective as to when I went and when I didn't go. And I didn't go an awful lot. And when that venture into rock stardom failed, through no lack of talent, timing's everything in that industry, I found myself working in an insurance company with the threat of being an accountant for the rest of my life hanging over my head. They wouldn't give me time off work to study archaeology, so I said, if I did law, would you leave me alone? And they said, yes, we would. And so I enrolled in law with what was then the SAB, now the Legal Practitioners Admission Board, and did their exams and do the lectures through the Law Extension Committee here at Sydney. I then proceeded to do absolutely everything I tell my students not to do. I was solely directed towards passing exams and getting good marks in exams. Nothing else. All I did was study for exams. I did all sorts of things. I went through like 10 years worth of previous exams to make sure that I knew how to answer the questions. I worked out that law academics aren't that creative and they usually get their questions from the law reports that were in the last couple of years on any subject, so I would read all those. That was possible prior to OSLE, and be ready for these exams. And I absolutely hated law, but I did really well at it, but I got really good marks, and I didn't really enjoy it, and it was all just a chore, and now I was wondering what I was going to do with my life. But I got very good marks, and a friend of mine used to take pity on me because I was studying and working full time, and he got his mum to cook me a baked dinner every Sunday night, poor woman. And I didn't know at the time, but their next door neighbour was Professor John Carter here at the law school. And he started taking an interest in the marks I was getting. And when I'd finished, he came knocking on my door and he said, "What are you going to do, Greg?" And I said, "Well, I think to get a job I need a master's, and the only thing that really interested me was international law. So I was going to do a master's, I was going to do international law." He said, "Well, that's really great, Greg, but that's not going to pay the bills. So why don't you come and research for me for a little while you having that experiment into international law?" So I did that, and he brought me over to the dark side of commercial law, which then began my lifelong love affair with that subject. And what he taught me was how to actually appreciate law. He would spend hours and hours with me just reading a page. He'd give me a page. The one that stands out in my mind is a page from the judgment of Justice Dixon and McDonald and in Lascelles. And he asked me to read it. Read that, Pete. He said, "Well, what did you think of that?" And I go, "It's all right." You know. He answered the question. He says, "Well, if you want to understand that, perhaps you better go read this." And he'd give me a month's worth of reading to go and appreciate this point. And slowly over time, it dawned on me, you know, the genius in some of those judgments, and I got to appreciate great legal writing, good judgments, good academic writing, and good legal writing generally. And I could appreciate how someone like Dixon could be faced with this massive problem and then come up with a principle that just is 3 lines and solve that problem and then set the law on its path for the future. And that one stands out in my mind because those 3 lines form the basis of my PhD many years later. And I tell you that story because, you know, I got to love the law because at that point, working with John, I was thrown into a research environment. And you really begin to appreciate law, love law, when you're in a research environment. And I think it's the hardest thing for students to get when they come to university, particularly in a law school, is how important that research aspect of it is. I have this idea that could be completely wrong, that students coming into medicine absolutely know that what the people they're teaching are involved in research and curing disease. I could be wrong on that, but I've had discussions with students over many years in law. They say, "What is this legal research that you do?" And it's so important, and it's so important to embrace. And this fills a real gap in the market, allowing students to engage in debate and show the importance of debate and enjoy it and get into law. And I think between students that's very, very important and then helps us with what we do as well. So congratulations, William and your team, for getting this off the ground. It's a fantastic publication. I wish it all the best for the future, and if there's anything we can do to help with it, please let us know.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And on behalf of my team, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you all as we come together to celebrate not only the launch of OBITER, but our first edition. Now, before I start with my proper speech, I'd like to show off a small video that we've made, if the computer works.
OBITER is a new intercollegiate law journal
run by students,
for students.
an independent platform for you.
To express your opinions,
Engage in debate.
And to share your vision for the future.
I didn't enrol in law for the textbooks.
For the exams.
Or the stress.
But sometimes it's easy to get caught up
in the process of getting your degree.
And lose sight of the reasons why you chose law in the first place. With OBITER,
Be kept up to date with the latest developments.
what's actually happening in the legal industry.
New cases from around the world.
Controversial ideas.
From the big debates
To the issues that receive little attention.
reconnect with the passion.
Behind your law degree.
Whether you're writing for
Or reading the magazine.
OBITER wants to engage with you
Connect with students.
leading academics.
and professionals in the legal industry.
Across Australia. This is a chance to showcase what matters to you.
Why you're interested in the law.
And why your views matter.
We are independent, relevant, accessible, and we want you.
It is the product of the effort, dedication, hard work of the students before you, and many of whom you saw in the video. Standing here tonight, I think it's important for me, on behalf of my team, to briefly reflect on the key issues and elements that went into producing this journal, and to touch upon briefly what we think makes OBITER different. Now, OBITER is unique because first and foremost, it is an intercollegiate journal that aims to transcend above the boundaries and barriers which can isolate law students during the course of their degree. Now, whilst we study the same degree, Many students have very little to do with each other for the 5 years of their study. And this needs to change. As an independent open platform, OBITER allows motivated students from different law schools to come together, to interact with their peers, to interact with leading academics and professionals in the industry. And we believe that is very important. We also believe, like Greg previously mentioned, that studying the law shouldn't be just about accepting legal principles. It shouldn't just be about accepting cases and remembering facts without question. With students working as editors and writers, they are encouraged to explore and engage the contentious legal issues which they are passionate about, and to explore the people and events that shape the law. And we believe that's very important as well. The journal is a genuine reflection of this collaborative process and covers a diverse range of topics, some that have received extensive coverage in the media and others little exposure. So whether you're reading Sam Murray's cover feature on the legality of drone warfare on the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, it's a mouthful, or Marie's opinion piece on the challenges facing minority groups in post-Mubarak Egypt, the topics being canvassed represents the issues which they feel are important. We aim to continually support them by sharing their views with their peers in Sydney and across Australia. Instead of publishing academic essays with pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of footnotes, as I'm sure many of the law students are very familiar with, OBITER's content is written in a journalistic style. We believe this is a more readable format for our readers, and this allows us to better engage them. As our name suggests, we believe a lot of what we write is just plain OBITER. We don't expect our views to be authoritative or binding. After all, we are just students, we don't know it all, and we don't pretend to. But we do feel it's very important that we are given the opportunity to express ourselves and to share these ideas with other people. And OBITER is a platform to realise this goal. And perhaps one day we'll look back at what was written and realise that the views expressed were indeed very important and have become very influential. Now, OBITER is also the result of support from people in industry, and I'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge them. I thank the support of Allen & Unwin, the Australian National University, Bond University, CCH, the College of Law, the Co-op Bookshop, CPA Australia. Thank you so much for your support, Julie, Michelle and Kim, who are here with us tonight. La Trobe University, Minter Ellison, Thomson Reuters, and thank you so much, Laxmi Morag and the team. The University of Sydney Business School, the University of Sydney Law School, the University of Technology Sydney Faculty of Law, the University of New South Wales Law School. And I'd like to also thank our international supporter, the City University of Hong Kong. Your contribution has a very, very real impact on what we do by giving us the resources to print the journals before you, and also to build a platform of interaction, as you've seen tonight. However, more importantly, it shows that you trust in our abilities to deliver a new publications that can push the boundaries a bit. It shows that you are willing to take a chance on a student initiative which has no track record. Most importantly, you validate our mission, you validate our goals, and that is very, very encouraging to everybody on the team who has produced this journal. So thank you. Now, needless to say, my team and I are very passionate about this project. We want to see OBITER reach its full potential. So please continue to mentor us and stand by us. We hope OBITER will be a part of every law student's university experience, whether they are writing for, editing, or reading the magazine. Tonight represents a first step in a journey to expand OBITER. For our second issue to be released in early 2013, we'll be increasing our distribution to encompass universities in Melbourne and the Australian National University down in Canberra. We are on track to cover all major Australian universities by the end of 2013. Thank you so much for your support. Please enjoy the drinks, enjoy the canapes. Thank you.
Thanks, William. I'm not quite sure how I can follow that, so I'll be super brief. Look, I just want to say thanks very much for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I know you all want to get back to your function, so I'll be very quick. I do have an important job to do, which is first of all to tell you why Thomson Reuters has decided to support OBITER and William and his team. We see ourselves very much as your partners in legal research, in industry, but also in innovative solutions as you move throughout your career, and that's something we really want to focus on and partner with people right through from the studying stage right through as you progress through your career. So we hope to be working with William for many years to come, and your team and your readership as well. But my real job tonight is to actually give a presentation, which is some champagne to congratulate William and team on the successful launch. I wish you all the best. Thank you. I think that's your cue to drink.
Oh, is that it? Thank you. Okay, everybody, back to partying. Enjoy the jazz. Thank you. I'd like to say a big thank you to members of my team who are involved in this first issue, and for our sponsors who have been very generous in allowing us to publish this magazine. Thank you.